we don't have answers to at the moment. What we do know, though, is that we're working collectively with leaders on both sides of the institutions to come up with what we believe is the best and most thoughtful approach for the combined entity. But let me take a step back for a second. This is a historic acquisition in the country. I think everybody knows that. Many folks have commented about the fact that this is the first time an HBCU is actually acquiring a non-HBCU. And while that is important and historic in nature, that's not the reason that Delaware State is in this. Delaware State's in this because we see an institution that has a very similar student profile to ours. We recognize the need to have a greater, larger presence in downtown Dover. We want to give much more opportunities to many more students than we were able to do before. And we want to do that responsibly, recognizing that the institutions that are anchor institutions here in Kent County and Dover proper are really Delaware State University and Wesley College. So our ability to provide educational opportunities, enhanced cultural opportunities, and economic development opportunities that drive the vitality of Kent County and Dover are important to us, and we believe will certainly gain great synergies from the combined entity. I also want to say a word about what I talked about a lot, the importance from my perspective of the brand equity of Wesley College. It's not lost on me that you are a historic institution, that you've shown yourselves to be more than valuable and quite no less words than powerful, in my view, in Dover for a long time. And it's my intention to maintain that brand equity as we move forward in the combined entity. The other thing that comes to my mind as I think about it is why now? We've gotten a lot of why nows in the middle of a pandemic. You've seen the political unrest and social and civil unrest in the country. Why now would we be thinking about doing this? Let me be clear on that point. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. I'll say that again. It's a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I know you'll hear from President Clark in a second, but I think it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for Del State and Wesley. So our powerful notion is that we must take advantage of it. And from a Delaware State perspective, it's in line with our vision to be a substantively diverse, contemporary, and unapologetic HBCU, and to be the best of that in the country. So we want to make sure that as we go through this, that we're clear on that point. Now, there are a couple of contingencies to us getting to legal day one. I won't go into the details of that. You probably read about most of them, but I would say that one of them for my Delaware State family was to make sure that we didn't use any of our general operating revenue for this particular acquisition. That meant that we needed to pound the pavement as it relates to telling the story of why this combination is going to be powerful, and to make sure that we could generate the resources to do that. I'm pleased to say that yesterday we got a historic grant from Mackenzie Scott. Mackenzie Scott's a notable novelist and philanthropist. She has spent significant dollars. I think she is probably the most notable philanthropist for racial equity in the country at the moment, and awarded Delaware State University $20 million, which is the largest single donation we have had in our 130-year history. Those funds are unrestricted funds, so it was really in our purview, my purview, to think about how we would use those. I've said publicly, I want to do three things immediately. One is spend time investing in Delaware State. So you will see a significant portion of those monies go to our endowment, which will create even more scholarship opportunities for the combined organization. Two, we want to put dollars in institutions that allow us to build our intellectual capital for our faculty, staff, and students. We have already developed the Global Institute for Equity, Inclusion, and Civil Rights, and you'll see a significant portion of our funds supporting that effort as well. And then there is a portion of those funds that we've left specifically for the Wesley acquisition. Why? Because we believe that that is significant to our growth engine as we move forward. I think my Delaware State family knows that my intention is to grow our institution to about 10,000 folks over the next couple of years. And this is a jump start to that opportunity. Second, just yesterday afternoon, I received word that we have been awarded $1 million from the Longwood Foundation to support the Wesley acquisition. Again, in that conversation with the Longwood executives, they talked about the importance of Delaware State University, the importance of Wesley College specifically to downtown Dover, what they believe the acquisition will bring as it relates to cultural life, economic vitality, and more educational opportunities, and are investing in us. I say all that to say that there is real, and I do mean real, opportunity for us to grow the organization and to do that smartly. The final thing I'll say is, Bob will tell you, we haven't come to many decisions just yet, and I think that's okay because we're being very deliberative in the process. But one of the things we have thought about is bringing together the College of Health and Behavioral Sciences at Delaware State University and Wesley College to create a new themed Wesley College of Health and Behavioral Sciences. That would be one of our 5 colleges at Delaware State University. I can tell you that, and Bob knows this, I think at least 2 of the Fabergé eggs at Wesley College are your STEM disciplines and your health science programming. We believe that bringing those entities together, specifically with our College of Health and Behavioral Sciences, creating a downtown location and preserving the Wesley brand is important, and I believe will rival any similarly situated health sciences college in the region and, dare I say, the country. Just yesterday, we received word from TikTok, a social media giant, for $1 million in support of their Health Heroes program because they want us to train the next generation of health professionals and medical professionals in the country. And as you know, the disparate impacts of things like COVID on communities of color make our ability to be involved in that process significant. So that's one thing I think we've had a great alignment on. I expect that there will be many more of those kinds of situations as we move forward. And I can say I'm very, very excited about what this prospect brings for more students who need an open door, just need an opportunity to change their economic trajectory for themselves, their families, and their communities. With that, I'll turn it over to my colleague and friend, President Bob Clark.
Thanks, Dr. Allen. And I'm not going to spend much time because everything that Tony has said, I echo. This is truly an historic and absolutely fantastic time and opportunity for the students we serve and the communities that those students would then serve in. I've known your president, Dr. Allen, since I've been here, and even before he became president, even quite frankly before he became a provost, we had many discussions in terms of educational equity. How do we make sure that we could provide the opportunities for more vice selected opportunities for some? And here at Wesley College, we've been looking for those type of visionary leaders, those type of schools that recognize that the future in higher ed is going to be tied to partnerships, to shared efficiencies, very similar to what other service professions like healthcare have been doing now for several years. And sometimes you look far from home, but it always brings you back to home. And to be clear about this, we were actually down the road with another institution. And your president approached me and said, hey, what about us? And timing was everything. We'd already signed some documents and we were moving forward. But the 2 of us had discussions, members of our board had discussions initially. And through Tony's leadership, the process that we were already at with the other institution that took several months, he was able to get to that same supportive process in less than a month. And then I had a frank discussion with my we call it the PAG, our transition team, who's still involved in the process now with our Delaware State family, my board, and it became very obvious to us that the answer was right down the street. And if you look at our two campuses and you look at who we serve, you could put a mirror between us. And more importantly, you look at the values that we aspire towards and the communities that our graduates go to serve, that mirror just gets more reflective. And again, the question, why now? I would say to you that yes, there's a lot of challenges that we're all faced with COVID, but there is also a tremendous amount of opportunity. And Tony just alluded to the myriad of fiscal support that recognizes the importance of this historic acquisition. I don't want to speak for Dr. Allen, but every time I talk to our congressional delegation or contacts that I have down in Washington that quite frankly have nothing to do with the state of Delaware, they bring up this acquisition. How's it going? This is something that's very important, not only to our region, but to our state. And I couldn't agree anymore. So we're excited here at Wesley College. There are a lot of challenges that we are working through together. One thing I would offer to both my Wesley College family and Delaware State, quite frankly, we're all one family, to our collective Delaware State family is this. These are very, everybody wants answers immediately. Everybody wants to know what's going on now. Rest assured that our transition teams on both sides are made up of faculty, staff, more so than administration, and they're working diligently for that. Two things: if you want something bad, you'll get. If you want something bad, you'll get it bad. So let the process work through. And again, we will provide information. One of the things we're also going to do is put together a joint update site. So you'll see these periodic updates on that site, as well as this type of engagement. The other thing, it's human nature to, hey, I think this is going on here, so let me talk to my friend over there and let him know. It's not a decision until it's a decision. And so unless you hear it from Dr. Allen, unless you hear from me, unless you hear from the both of us, or some type of leadership architecture that's in place to be part of this transition, it's just discussion and hearsay. And I would not get too wrapped up in it. Again, it's not a decision till it's a decision. So again, Tony, I appreciate everything you've done, your team. We're thrilled to be now included in this family. And again, I've known you since I've came here, and very excited about the present, but I am just overjoyed about the future and what it's going to bring to the students we serve in this community. This truly will be a game changer, and that game changer will be in the lives that it affects in a positive way. So back to you, my friend.
Come off of mute, Dr. Allen.
Thank you, Darryl. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that, and certainly appreciate the partnership. I do want to emphasize one point that Bob mentioned around the transition. There are significant transition teams, particularly around academics, operations, and administration, that come together on both sides that are really trying to find the right path forward for us, one that starts us off in fantastic shape as we move toward legal day one. The other thing Bob mentioned is communications. One of the things that we both have agreed on is you can't over communicate in this instance. So we are planning to launch dual landing pages, both on the Wesley College homepage and the Delaware State homepage, about the acquisition itself. It'll be the same information on both pages. We will update it as regularly as is reasonable. And I can tell you that these types of forms, we will extend ourselves out to you throughout the spring semester. So there will be more and regular communications. Bob and I thought it would be helpful now just to open it up for questions. I would remind all of you to put your questions into the chat box. Daryl McMillan, our Chief Information Officer, will be able to see them and bring them to the fore. And we're open for at least the next 40 minutes for any questions you might have. Brother McMillan.
Currently monitoring, nothing yet.
Okay. So why don't we talk a little bit, Bob, about the just the technical processes? I know some folks have some thoughts about that. As I think everybody knows, our regulatory body is Middle States, both for Delaware State University and for Wesley College. There is an approval process there as well. We are going through that process with our liaison, as well as our liaison officers from Delaware State and from Wesley. That requires a fair amount of activity. It'll also require a peer review on both our sides. So folks will be looking at this acquisition processes, its material interest, and making sure that we have dotted every I and crossed every T. And then we have to present before the Middle States Commission for final approval. Those timelines are tight. They are close to the legal day one timeframe, but I know Bob has spent time with Dr. Corbett, who's our liaison for Middle States, as late as yesterday, and I spent some time with her earlier in the week. We feel good that we can meet all of the deadlines that are noted, and will come before final approval from Middle States in good stead. Bob, you want to add anything on that point?
The only thing I would add to that, Tony, is also, there's been a lot of questions. Well, once, we become part of Delaware State University, is there a separate accreditation? And once we become part of Del State, we will get accredited along with Del State. But the importance is getting there right now. And as Tony mentioned, a lot of work to be done. But again, on the very positive side, both our teams are fully engaged. And as information comes in and requests, it's turned around very quickly. And we are speaking from the same template, I think, which is important, but it allows to streamline the Middle States process.
Great. Brother McMillan, any questions?
Yes, sir. One question: what about the programs that Wesley has and DSU doesn't have, and vice versa? How would those things be handled?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. And what we found out already is a lot of our programs align. There are very few programs that Delaware State has that Wesley doesn't have, and vice versa. Now, I can tell you that those programs where either one of us does not have a similarly situated program, so far are real opportunities for us. I think about the occupational therapy program at Wesley, which I see as one of the Fabergé eggs of the institution, as a real opportunity for us. I see the same in the Masters of Criminal Justice and a couple of other programs. I think it actually expand the capability and portfolio of the newly combined entity. I will say that where there are programs that we've seen on both sides that are lower performing, we want to take this opportunity to phase them out over time. Those aren't a lot of programs, but there are some. I can tell you, we went through that process at Delaware State probably about six or 7 years ago. It made us a better institution because we could provide a better portfolio package for our students. And President Clark and I have been pretty aligned on that. And to be clear, though, those programs are few and far between. So we're taking the opportunity to really focus on the great programming from each institution that will be added in short order. Bob,
As a former
Bob,
oh.
Bob, you want to add anything on that score?
No, again, just to completely agree. And when Tony says, we're aligned, we're aligned. I mean, we talk almost weekly. And again, with any acquisition, especially something as historic and important as this, we're taking a hard look at what are the standards, if you would. What programs does Del State have that are standards, and what program does Wesley have? And those will be the benchmark that this combined institution that will work for. So it's not an all or nothing. It's what are the best, what are the shared, and as Tony alluded to, there's some that, quite frankly, have not been and are not, and those are the ones we'll start to phase out. Because at the end of the day, this acquisition for growth, this expansion of opportunity for our community, it should be celebrated, but it also should be understood that there's going to be some change. And every one of us will not necessarily be here, but this is so important and so impactful that it's not about a onesie twosie individuals. It's about what this is going to bring to our community. So again, faculty, staff, the two transition teams that we've got involved looking at this, there are no answers today, but again, that's why this process takes some time, and we'll continue to monitor and again, update you as Tony mentioned with this joint site and then these type of exchanges as we go along. But to, again, just to tag on what Tony said, the hanging fruit, the ones that are not necessarily, it is few and far between.
Brother McMillan?
As a former alumni of Wesley College, I'd like to know how the history will be stored and remembered going forward.
The truth is, we haven't gotten that far down the road, but I can't overemphasize this point enough. I have a deep belief in Wesley brand and its equity in Dover proper and Delaware writ large. So I think about that all the time. We have, and I'm sure you do too, but we have a venerable historian and a great archivist here at Delaware State. And those opportunities to preserve those traditions of who we've been have been preserved, I think, best in class here. And we will certainly make sure that that is occurring at Wesley as well.
Are we looking at expanding public safety from DSU to Wesley?
You know, and I know Bob probably has a view on this too. When I went before Dover City Council, which was in September, I believe, one of the things that they thought was a great thing about the acquisition was the increased presence of law enforcement. As you all know, we operate our own law enforcement. They are independent, but they are university employees. And we will certainly have that presence in addition to Dover Police down in downtown Dover. And that's a welcomed addition to the city of Dover, and certainly a unique opportunity for our law enforcement officers to expand as well.
Dr. Allen, I'd like to take the opportunity to make a statement here. There's a lot of information as it relates to hiring and structure. Those things are still being worked on and will be communicated in future discussions between Dr. Allen and Dr. Clark.
Yeah, that's right. Look, and Bob and I have talked about this a lot. Obviously, acquisitions come with change for sure. We have not going down the road yet of what that change will look like, but we are trying to do that thoughtfully and with great measure. The way to get growth is two ways, right? You kind of grow organically by bringing more students and more opportunities to the combined entity. And the second way is to make sure that we're operating efficiently from an expense management perspective. So finding that right balance is really the process of what I would say is really the next couple of years, as opposed to just the next 6 months. It will be a process over time. I should say that particularly for the faculty at Wesley, we have a AUP, which is our faculty union. They're an exceptional group of leaders. We have a collective bargaining agreement with them, but at the heart of their philosophy is a shared governance process, which I subscribe to as well. And they are also being thoughtful about this process and what that might look like as we transition some faculty from Wesley into the Delaware State University system.
Dr. Allen, you have indicated that DSU seeks to diversify the student body while maintaining its commitment to its HBCU mission. Do you have a specific diversity profile that may be summarized, looking at targeted percentages?
Yeah, that's a good question. When I think about diversity, you know, my vision again is the most diverse contemporary HBCU in the country. When I think about diversity, I don't think much about racial and ethnic diversity because we're already there. We're one of the most diverse HBCUs in the country today. From the Wesley acquisition perspective, you'll note that Wesley is actually a minority serving institution, which is a federal designation. So in the same way that we are an HBCU, they're an MSI. And if you look at their student profile from that perspective, it's not much different than ours. So when you think from a broader lens around diversity, think of the comprehensive nature of the institution. Today, Delaware State University is a Research 2 comprehensive. There's only one other level among us, which is a Research 1. There's no HBCU in the country that is a Research 1. We want to be the first. Our core programming is expansive across every discipline you can imagine. And as I've said to the Wesley family, their health sciences programming and STEM related opportunities will be significantly expansive for our own growth model. And then as it relates to the pipeline, which I think is important with respect to this question, we're trying to build capacity not just in the higher ed space, but in the K-12 space as well. And our early college, high school, I think will have some significant benefit on that score too. President Clark and I have talked deliberately about the possibility of moving the early college, high school downtown along with the new College of Health and Behavioral Sciences. So when you think diversity, think broader than racial and ethnic diversity, because in many respects, we're ahead of that game today. Think about the rich and comprehensive nature of the university today and what that will mean for tomorrow.
What is the future for Division III athletics at Wesley College?
I'll let Bob start first, and we've had obviously we anticipated that particular question, but I'll let Bob start and I'll add on.
Yeah, that's a good question. And right off the bat, both institutions appreciate, understand, and respect the importance of athletics and the overall educational opportunities provided to our student athletes. There's several particulars that we continue to work through, and just like the discussion earlier in terms of, well, what programs will stay here at Wesley or Del State, which will be the standard programs that the others will move to, which ones will be at Wesley, which ones will be at Del State. The same thing with Division III athletics. Right now, for the near future this year, there's no change. In terms of moving out in the future, there's still discussions to be had at the leadership level, looking at a whole host of things. But no decision is made to date for the future. We're still engaged, but we're both schools very much appreciative and understanding the importance of that, and especially as Tony talked about the brand here at Wesley. That is one of our cornerstone brands, but no decision to date.
Yeah, and I would say as we move forward here on the Del State side, for the Delaware State family, particularly those who are alum on the call who might be wondering, we will still maintain our Division I athletics program at Delaware State. The key question around athletics, you all have noted. Bob is right. We are having discussions at the leadership level, have not made any final determinations yet. But I want to emphasize, too, that we understand the proud tradition of Wesley athletics and what that has meant. And regardless of what the outcome of those decisions are, we plan to honor and preserve and celebrate all of those traditions in kind. So more to come. When we have a final decision, we'll certainly let everybody know.
This is a question for clarification. Is DSU acquiring a college or a campus? We are getting conflicting comments about the future of Wesley faculty and staff. Yeah,
so I'm happy to start, and I know Bob will chime in here. Look, we are acquiring, we Delaware State are acquiring Wesley College in whole. It's not a campus. We actually, through our Middle States regulatory body, you have an opportunity to apply in two ways. You can either be a branch campus or an additional location. We've already made application for Wesley College to be an additional location. So put that aside as the actual fact pattern, the legal application we have to make to Middle States. What we are saying now is, how does that work in operation, right? So what we want to be able to do is extend, to Bob's point, the best of both of our opportunities. And I've said that the health sciences program at Wesley College, I believe, is best in class. I also feel very strongly about the College of Health and Behavioral Sciences at Delaware State. So combining those two entities to create a new themed college, right? So we have 5 colleges. This will be one of our themed colleges. We have a College of Agriculture, Science, and Technology, a College of Business, a College of Health and Behavioral Sciences, a school of graduate, adult, and continuous learning. And the idea is that that new college, that new combined college, the Wesley College of Health and Behavioral Sciences, would effectively be located on our downtown campus. So it is, and I say this a lot, even at Delaware State, we are one university. When we acquire Wesley College, we will be one university with 5 academic components. Bob, you want to add anything on that one?
Yeah, I think maybe the question, if I heard it, was, campus or college in terms of current faculty and staff. And I think both Tony and myself have been pretty clear on this. Again, it's those decisions are being made now, but as you grow, the most expensive thing, whether you're growing, whether you're adding, or just day to day, is personnel costs. And as Tony, Dr. Allen has said many times, there's some programs that will, that are their golden egg that resides here. So if you just look at the numbers, the vision to grow to 10,000, and quite frankly, I think after this acquisition, that's probably the low end. I think is much higher. And if you look at where the two entities are right now, that's still, we will need faculty and staff to support the life-changing opportunities that these future students will need. And we've already got the baseline for that here. So I would not expect, and we've both said this large, okay, well, all this is cut. They're not, Del State is not buying brick and mortar. They're not, okay, clear it out, gut it out, and then they're buying the brick and mortar. And I think Dr. Allen's been very clear, and also I think very straightforward in terms of the legacy and what is that legacy? What is college? I mean, college is not about the buildings you're in. It's not about the name or the sign. It's about the relationships. It's about the professors and student interaction, and that'll continue on. And a very large portion of the current Wesley College faculty and staff will become part of the Wesley College, continue on with the rest of the name in the future. But not all of us will. And again, those that won't, we will take every effort to make sure that there is a landing pad for those few individuals and ensure that everything we can do to set them moving forward. But everyone right now involved in this acquisition should be incredibly proud of the legacy that has been built and the legacy that will continue due to these efforts.
Thank you, Bob. President McMillan, any other questions out there?
No, I think that will be it based on the structure and hiring questions, which are things that are going to be looked at moving forward.
Okay. Well, thank you all. I'll ask Bob to start, and I'll close us out.
Thanks, Tony. I think this was a great opportunity, a great kickoff. As Tony knows, and for those of you in the Wesley College family, we've been doing this for several months now, our weekly and then bi-weekly updates. But as Tony mentioned, we had talked about this, and the time is now to come together for these updates. I thought, what a great idea before Christmas, as we discussed. So I appreciate this opportunity. Again, if you've got questions, make sure that you get them answered. There is no decision until there's a decision. So, nature to have discussions and crosstalk, but don't spend a lot of energy or anxiety with, oh my God, I heard from so-and-so, I heard from so-and-so. Unless it comes from this forum or down in some type of formal communique, it's just discussion right now. So again, focus on quite frankly, the blessings we have looking forward, and that's this acquisition and the future it holds for our combined institutions and our students in state. And don't focus on the things that we don't necessarily not have, especially those that haven't even been defined yet. So Tony, thanks so much, and Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays, again, to our collective Del State Wesley College family. Back to you, my friend.
Thanks, Bob. I just want to say to the Wesley family, I have actually gone through an acquisition and been the acquired. So any anxiety you might be feeling, questions you might have, it's not lost on me, and certainly not lost on our team. I think what I was told when I was going through that process was you can control what you can control. And in the end, you want to be as much a part of the process as is humanly possible to build the foundation for the future. What I hope you've heard from me is I believe in Wesley College. I believe in the opportunities that you have provided for students and the surrounding community for many years. And it's one of the things that was attracting me to this transaction. So stay focused. I think what we owe both sides, Wesley and Delaware State, is just this constant, open, transparent communication. And that's what you can depend on from me. As it relates to my Delaware State family, happy holidays to you. I'm so proud, so very, very proud to be your president, and so proud that you all have led with the spirit that we all talk about, the power of we. It's always about the power of we, regardless of who's standing in front. It really is about the people that are delivering on the brand promise. And I think we have a tremendous brand promise today and an even more extraordinary one as we think about the future and in acquiring Wesley College. So to Bob, happy holidays to you and to your family. Happy holidays to the new combined family that is Delaware State and Wesley College. And remember, it is all up to us to continue to do the thing that very few institutions can do, create an environment to change the economic trajectory for their students, their families, and their communities. That's what we're all about. That's what I'm passionate about. And that's what we are going to continue to do. Have a great holiday season, and we'll talk to you soon.